Jamal Khashoggi murder, Saudi court overturns 5 death sentences.
Here's a summary of the article.
A Saudi court has overturned 5 death sentences over the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, in a final ruling that jailed 8 defendants for between 7 and 20 years, state media reported. 5 of the convicts were given 20 years in prison and another 3 were jailed for 7 to 10 years, the official Saudi press agency said, citing a spokesman for the public prosecutor. Khashoggi's sons said in May that they had pardoned the killers, a move condemned as a parody of justice by a UN expert. The family's pardon spared the lives of 5 people sentenced to death last December. Khashoggi, 59, was killed and dismembered at the kingdom's consulate in Istanbul in October 2018, in a case that tarnished the reputation of Saudi Arabia's de facto ruler, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. According to Turkish officials, Khashoggi, a critic of Prince Mohammed, was strangled and his body cut into pieces by a 15-man Saudi squad inside the consulate. Riyadh has described the murder as a «rogue» operation, but both the CIA and a UN special envoy have directly linked Prince Mohammed to the killing, a charge the kingdom vehemently denies.
This post received a score of 33,000, with an upvote ratio of 96%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
This was expected. What a farce. The king and his son have absolute power, why do they even have a court system?
Courts have always been necessary even when the country is a totalitarian dictatorship, as you need something to mediate any disputes that the king can't mediate directly. Whether the judges are appointed by the king or someone else comes down to who is allowed to have that power, and even if there are courts there is no guarantee of a fair trial if the system is not designed for that. Given the view of courts by the common people, a civil way to mediate disputes, it becomes useful in farces like this where you need to pretend to concede to the interests of the common people.
Greater than it becomes useful in farces like this where you need to pretend to concede to the interests of the common people. Is this kind of thing made to be this way to quell an uprising or something?
Absolutely. The good citizens have to have some confidence in their government's ability to keep them safe and deliver justice. If they didn't, the citizens would begin to take justice in their own hands. The courts are required to mediate justice between citizens. But when it comes to royalty or rulers, the courts aren't powerful enough to enforce justice on the boss of everyone. For example, in the Russia investigation of Trump, the investigation couldn't bring charges against the president because he was the president. Guilty or not guilty of a crime, charges are early steps in judicial process. The president was above that. You and I are not.
To be clear in your example, the president is only above that because his appointees in the Justice Department said he was above it. There is no constitutional basis for the president being above the law.
The Constitution is just a piece of paper, it can't do anything if the justice system aristocracy refuses to do anything about it. Edit, typo piece for piece.
And that's precisely how we end up in constitutional crisis.
This has been in effect since May 2019. The reason the DOJ gives is, the indictment or criminal prosecution of a sitting president would unconstitutionally undermine the capacity of the executive branch to perform its constitutionally assigned functions. There's been a constitutional crisis ever since the DOJ has decided it would not do this. But even a constitutional crisis is an argument about a piece of paper. It is only academic until someone does something about it.
Since 2017, when a few vacancies at the federal level turned into the ashen crater it is today. President didn't even have a transition team ready to go, and since day one has never fully completed these basic presidential duties.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.